Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to show you how to wrap your intake in gold. So as you guys can see here, if you've probably watched my videos, you guys will know that I've got a Takeda short ram intake on my car. Now it's made out of aluminum, and it does a decent job at giving you a little bit more power than stock. Now the stock intake is all plastic. Now this aluminum one, because it's metal, it dissipates heat better than the plastic does. However, it's not quite as good as, say, other materials such as gold. This 18 karat gold wrap that I have, both in the little roll and this sheet, are very good at dissipating heat, much better than steel or aluminum. And that's why you can wrap this stuff on, say, your intake, your intercooler, wires, anywhere that's very high heat. In high-end supercars such as a McLaren F1, you'll see gold actually lined around in the entire engine bay to decrease engine temperatures. When you drive your car very hard, the intake temperatures are going to shoot up a little bit, only because you still have your exhaust pipe inside your engine. So there's two ways of dissipating the internal engine heat. Number one is wrapping your intake in gold, and number two is wrapping your exhaust. However, not in gold. I'll be putting up another video for you guys later about that. However, today I'm going to be sticking to wrapping my intake in gold and showing you guys the entire procedure. So this gold that I've got right here that I'm going to be putting on my car is amazing in many ways. Not only can this stuff withstand up to 850 degrees of constant temperature, constantly beaming and hitting this stuff, but it can also reduce the radiant temperature down to 80% of what it is. So if the engine bay is really hot, the intake and everything is going to be cold, or whatever we apply this to is going to be able to dissipate that heat much better than everything else in the engine. So aluminum doesn't exactly dissipate heat as well as this gold. Same deal with the plastics and stuff like that in the engine. That's why this stuff is amazing to work with. So this has pressure sensitive adhesive backing on the backside that can withstand these great temperatures. And not only that, you can use this wherever you want. As I said before, you can use it on intakes, you can use it on intercoolers, you can use it on wiring harnesses, you can use it for wires, you can use it for engine bay covers, you can use it for the engine bay lining. Anywhere you want that's got a lot of heat, if you want to dissipate it and bring it down, use this stuff. So to remove this intake, it's actually going to be very easy. Now, basically, every intake is going to be more or less the same. You're going to have bolts that are holding in the piping, and then you're going to have one sensor hooked up to it. Whether it be a mass airflow or a manifold absolute pressure sensor, you're going to have some sort of sensor on your intake system that you're going to have to remove. Now, mine is found right here on the back side of the intake, and it's held in by two screws. So I'm going to take those out and then remove all these vacuum hoses and clamps that are holding the aluminum pipe onto my car. So I'm going to start off by removing this vacuum hose. So just grab your 8mm socket and loosen this. Make sure you have it going the right way. That is loosening it, not tightening it. So with this little clamp loose, we can pull this off once we remove the all the other components up in here. So once I remove this and this bolt back here, or move the camera and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Once I remove these two, I should be able to move this freely. Now when you're removing your sensor, be very careful not to damage it. Now there's going to be two bolts in here, and both of these for mine are star screws. So if you use a screwdriver and these are being difficult to remove and not turning, don't try using a screwdriver anymore. What I'm going to be using, because some of these bolts get corroded over time, is I'm going to be using an impact driver from DeWalt. It'll be able to remove these safely without stripping the actual head. So put it on there, lefty loosey, righty tighty. So remove one, don't remove it completely, and then the bottom one. See how that one was a little tougher to remove? However, with an impact driver, it makes it seem like it's no trouble at all. So after you lose, shit. Be careful not to do exactly what I just did and drop one of these bolts into your engine bay. Because they're very small, they might be very difficult to find. So, lift the sensor out carefully and set it aside. Now, if it's a very delicate sensor, wrap it in a towel just so it doesn't get dirty or anything, and you don't have to worry about cleaning it up afterwards. But after that, you should have this little hole over here exposed and nothing else attached to it at that point. And at that point, this should be fairly loose and should be able to remove the other hoses from it easily. Move that hose there, and then you should be able to lift this right out. As you can see, the intake is now out, and I don't know how good you can see this, but the inside of there, that is your throttle body. Now it's slightly dirty. I can see the dirt from the inside right here. Now I'm going to use some throttle body cleaner that I've got right here. Throttle body clean. I'm using this and I'm just going to spray it on the inside to remove and get rid of all that dirt that's stuck inside there. So go ahead, spray it down, and any extra will just evaporate. And you just let it sit. Now in the meantime, we're going to go wrap our intake. Just like everything we do, prep work is everything. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this, and also while I'm at it, I'm going to try and remove this Takeda sticker so that when we put our gold down, it's on nothing but the pure aluminum that the pipe is made out of. Now I'm also going to remove this filter. Again, taking it off is easy. It's just like another one of those 8mm bolts that we had to undo when we were removing the intake. You want to give the gold a nice foundation to stick onto, and you really want that adhesive to really stick. Otherwise, it'll come off in like a year or so, or it won't look that nice. So, just like with everything, prep work is everything. Now I'm kind of curious as to how easy this sticker is going to be able to be removed and then put back on. Now it's not a big deal if I can't put it on later. What I'll do is just, I'll go on eBay and pick up one of these Takeda stickers for like a couple bucks and slap it on top of the gold afterwards. But it's not that big of a deal. Like this intake's like 2 years old maybe? Maybe 3 years old? Yeah, so I mean like I'm not really worried about a little sticker. It looks like it's coming up pretty well. I don't know if we'll be able to reuse it, but fingers crossed and maybe we can. Oh yeah, I ruined it. That's not happening. Screw it. Yeah, so I'll just go on eBay or maybe even email Takeda, see if they've got any stickers for sale and pick one up from them. Not an issue. But after we remove this, we still want to remove all the gunk that's on here. So like the back side of the residue from the sticker, if there's any left over, you want to clean that up. Now you can use Goo Gone, you can use any kind of cleaning agent to get it done. Just make sure that you're working with bare aluminum when we get to the step where we're installing the gold on the intake. So with the pipe now cleaned, removed of all the stickers, or the sticker, I'm first going to prep this now with an isopropyl alcohol so that all the goof off and any gunk or any dirt that's still on the pipe is going to be completely off. This way, when we put our gold on here, it's going to stick and grab on very well. So I'm just grabbing a little terry cloth right here, folding it in fours, grabbing some isopropyl alcohol, spraying a little bit on there, and then wipe the entire pipe down. Now the reason why I'm using this is because if I leave any isopropyl alcohol left on the pipe, it'll actually evaporate in no time. So just clean it up, give it a good once over before we put our gold on. And after this point, our preparation stage is basically done. And just like that, our pipe is nice and shiny, just like it was new. Now it doesn't really matter how well we wrap this, as long as we put the gold on here, we're gonna actually see a performance difference down the road. Now of course, the better you put it on and the more time you take, the better it's going to look. So obviously take your time, there's no rush in doing this. Now you can pick up either one of these sheets that I have. This is a 1 foot by 2 foot piece of gold. And I've got right here a 2" by 30" piece of tape. You can choose whichever one you want depending on what your intake looks like and how complicated it looks. I'm first going to start off with this, so I'm going to have to remove this little tape that's on here. I'll put a link in the description for both of these. You guys can pick them up if you want. Just take it off nice and easy. And then we're going to try and position this the best way we can so we can apply this wrap over the entire thing. So after looking at our roll that we have right here, our intake, and the sheet, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start wrapping the outside here with the little roll, and then work on the big piece right here in the middle, the straight part, with the sheet that I have right here. So I'm going to first start off by using a little section at a time. Now if you can, try and make your seams on the back side of the panel that you aren't going to see. So for my car, my pipe looks like this. So if I'm looking at it, this is the top part that I see with the filter down here. Now if I can, I want to try and position it so that when I get my little piece of gold, I want to make it so the seams are on the back and I don't see them. So wrap it accordingly, just like this. So if that's the size I'm going to need, right there, I'm going to cut and try and make it so the seam is right where this finger is. So once you have a little strip like this cut out, peel back the backing right here so we can have our exposed sticky side showing. Take your time with this. Again, this is no rush. So I'm going to line it first on here, and then I'm going to stick it down onto the piece. Just like that. And then work my way around by back rolling this piece and making sure that's completely aligned with my intake. Try and push in all the creases. Push it down, make sure you've got good adhesion. And then after you've got this little section done, work your way and go around the entire rest of the pole. And as you can see right there, it's starting to look pretty good. So I'm almost done this side right here. I've just got a little piece to wrap on here. Now I found that around the corners, it's easier to use the little strip, like the little tape like this, along here because you can conform them to much easier spots than those big pieces. So I use them in small spots at a time, and it's pretty forgiving stuff. Like you can pick it up, peel it back, and do it again if you made a mistake. So, like that. Wrap one side and bring it all the way around to the other. The beauty of using this stuff is that it dissipates heat very well. Like watch this. I wouldn't ever dare put my hand there on that. Now, let's see. Like this pipe is not hot by any means. Like, look at that. Isn't that sweet? I'm touching it and it's not burning me. If you were to do that with a regular pipe, you would definitely burn your hand. So guys, after everything's all said and done, my intake is wrapped in 18 karat gold. And as you can see, it looks dope. Now, I didn't use all the stuff here today. I've still got a decent amount of roll left. I'd probably say that's at least half. And more than half of the sheet that I was using. So now we have to put the filter back on and mount this back on the car. All right, so when you're installing this back on the car, make sure you don't take off any of the gold flake, the gold wrap and tape and everything that we just put on. Try and line it up so all the vacuum hoses fit properly. Line the screws. And then after you've got everything basically lined up, you can put all the fasteners and everything back in. After that, we can put our wiring inside our sensor up here. Now off camera, I just unplugged and installed the sensor. So just get your wiring, your clip, and just snap it back in. Just like that. At this point, all the vacuum hoses, the intake, and everything should be completely secure, and our job should be done. Now, just to double check and make sure you did a safe job, turn the car on and make sure everything sounds good. If you've got a vacuum leak, or if you've got a leak in your intake somewhere, you'll know where it is right now, or as soon as you start up the car. If you guys have any questions regarding the video, please post them down in the comments below, and I'd be happy to help. Again guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Alright guys, so right now I'm at my Honda dealership and I just picked up 2 new screws for the MAF sensor. So the mass airflow sensor. Now one of the bolts I dropped when I was taking it out of the engine, so I had to go to my dealership and pick up new ones. So I'm gonna be putting them in my car right now. Stupid me, I dropped one in the engine bay, and for the life of me, do you think I could find it? Are you serious? I did it again. So let's try this one more time. I'm first gonna thread it in by hand, so I know it's in there. And I'm gonna get my driver and push it in. One, and 2. Done.